Okay, so the first thing I am going to do is get my meat. I like to buy these prepackaged chuck meat that's already sliced into like thin slices. That way I don't have to cut it myself. And then we're going to add our meat to a bowl. This is what I'm using, but you could just put them in any bowl so that way you could marinate it. And the first thing I'm going to add is some light soy sauce. I'm going to put in half a cup of that. Then we're going to add about 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Then I add some hot sauce, and I like to use Cholula, but you can use any hot sauce you want. And we add about 1 tablespoon of hot sauce as well. And I added a little extra because I like mine a little spicy, little kick. Okay, so the next thing we add is some black pepper. And then you get some tongs or whatever and mix it all up. Make sure you incorporate all the seasonings into it, and then you leave it aside for a few minutes while you get everything else ready. So while your meat is marinating, you're going to get a skillet and get some butter. And I like to use the skillet with tall sides just because it's going to be a saucy type of meat, so you want to keep everything inside. And you're going to use 2 tablespoons of butter, and first you're going to make sure to really melt that butter down. So once the butter is pretty much melted, what you're going to do is get each strip of meat and lay it flat on the skillet. And you're going to do this one strip at a time. What you're looking for here is not so much to cook the meat all the way, but just to kind of, cook it enough so that it's brown. It really takes like 1 or 2 minutes per slice because this meat is really thin. So after about a minute or two, you're going to flip each slice over, and this is what you're looking for, just that it's gonna be kind of brown but not all the way cooked through. And see, it literally takes like half a minute to a minute. It's really not that long. And once you get your butter simmering and everything, it's gonna take even less time. It's gonna be super quick, so you're gonna want to do this for every slice of meat. So once you finish doing this to all your meat, you're gonna set it all aside. Then you're gonna want to add 1 more tablespoon of butter, and at this point you can turn down your heat to about medium-low to low heat. So while your butter is melting in the pan, you're gonna get the parsley, and I usually use about a whole bunch. Make sure you wash it really good too. So after you wash your parsley, you're gonna want to chop it up. And no joke, I am really terrified of this knife because I have cut myself really like gnarly with this knife, maybe 4 or 5 times. So if it looks like I'm like barely chopping anything or being like super careful with it, it's because I'm just terrified. So once you chop up your parsley, your pan should look something like this, and don't worry, it's not burned. It's just, all nice and brown. And then you're gonna want to add your chopped parsley and mix it all up in there. Then you're gonna add some garlic, if the camera would focus. But that's minced garlic. Typically it would be about 3 cloves. I kind of just measured out like 1 little teaspoonful of this minced garlic. Then you're gonna get some fresh thyme, and you're just gonna take the little leaves off the stem and kind of break them in there to, really let off the essence. I use about 4 to 5 stems of the leaves. I mean, you could really tweak it to however you like, if you like more thyme or not. But yeah, I was just showing you right there how I kind of pull it and just put it in there. Then you're gonna get Italian seasoning, and the camera wouldn't focus, but yeah, you can kind of see it. It's Italian seasoning. This is where I kind of go crazy with this, because to be honest, I think it's the Italian seasoning more than the parsley that makes this dish. So I add like a nice, like maybe 4 big pinches of Italian seasoning, because this just really makes the dish. I guess I added 2, but I add more later. And then I add a little bit of chili powder, and because I added the Cholula earlier, you don't really need so much chili powder unless you like more heat, but just add a little bit of chili powder. And then you're gonna make sure to mix that all up, and at this point you could actually turn up the heat a little bit more to like the medium high. But yeah, you're gonna mix it all up, make sure it's nicely incorporated. So I guess I didn't show how I cut the asparagus, I'm sorry, but basically I just cut them into 3 sections. So once, and here's my husband trying to steal meat back there because he loves this. Anyway, so you get your asparagus and cut them up into 3 sections, and then whatever juice was left over from the meat marinade, you're gonna add that to your pan and just mix it around and leave the asparagus there for a little bit to cook. So once the asparagus has cooked for a couple minutes or so, you're gonna add your beef stock, and this is gonna be, I believe, 1 cup of beef stock. All the ingredients and like the exact measurements are gonna be down in the description box. I'm kind of doing the voiceover right now. It's like 11:40 right now, so I'm a little bit half asleep, so I apologize for that. Then you're gonna add the juice of half a lemon. So once it's cooked down a bit, it's gonna look something like this. You don't want the asparagus to be too soggy or too soft. I still like them when they're a bit crunchy. But once you see it like this, the juice should be simmering and everything. So you're gonna start putting in your meat, and I personally like to cut these strips into smaller strips, so I kind of cut them in half. And I just do it with my hand because by this time they're cool. But yeah, so I just like to cut them a little bit in half just to, I don't know, make it seem like there's more meat. But I can see my little one back there. Anyway, you just put the meat back into the pan, and this is just what I do. I cut them in half again. So here comes the extra pinches of Italian seasoning, because like I said before, the Italian seasoning and the lemon add to the flavor of this dish, like that little zestiness of it. Um, so I do like to add a little bit extra Italian seasoning. And at this point, you want to taste test your meat, make sure that it's seasoned the way you want, that it's zesty enough. Um, and I did add another half a lemon juice. No, juice of half a lemon. Yeah, I can't think right now, guys. Um, Juice of another half a lemon, and that was it. And my dish was pretty much done. So I lied. I typically make this dish with just asparagus, but I guess I had too little asparagus, and I felt like this dish didn't have enough veggies. So I added some frozen broccoli and frozen carrots, and I felt like I needed more veggies. Okay. So that's what I added. And at this point, since everything else is pretty much already cooked and these two items are frozen, what I do is I just mix it all up, turn it down to like a medium low heat, and then just put a lid on it so that it kind of cooks through really good. There you go. There's the lid. And after a few minutes, the juices are nice and bubbling, and the broccoli and the carrots are nicely cooked. They don't really take that long to cook. The asparagus actually didn't get too soggy, but everything cooked nicely. Nothing was frozen anymore. So yeah, doesn't it look more colorful and beautiful? So again, I wanted to taste test, make sure everything was nicely cooked, nicely seasoned. So yeah, I just added some more veggies. Nothing wrong with it. So I just served it with some white rice, add some of the juice onto the meat and veggies, and to the rice I added some lemon, and that's it. You're done.